Hi, I'm Cheryl, and we're going to be making this card today. And I'm just thrilled with this flower. I saw this on, it was Claudette's Cards. She used a stamp you wouldn't think of using for this flower, and it just thrilled me. So we're going to be doing this today. So these are the materials we'll need. This is my own take on it, but the flower was on her video. We need some Whisper White cardstock, 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Then we have another piece of Whisper White, and that's 4 3/4 by 3.5, and we'll keep that handy. Piece of rich Razzleberry. That's just 1/8 of an inch bigger all around than our Whisper White, and that's 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. Don't worry, everything will be written down below. Another piece of rich Razzleberry, 3 1/4 by 1.5 inches, and a little piece of Vellum, and that's about 3 1/4 by 1.5 inches also. So we can put those aside for the moment, and we're using, oh, and I'm missing a stamp set. I need my Avant-Garden stamp set. Luckily I keep everything pretty handy, and there it is. Okay. Now the Avant-Garden stamp set, we're only using just this little flower center here. If you don't have it, you could use a Sharpie or something and draw in your little flower center. I'm sure this is not a big deal. And from Kate Crazy, I'm using this It's Your Birthday. I love that little sentiment. It just looks so happy to me. And from Beautiful You, this is what we're using to make our flower. Yep, isn't that cool? So let me get that out, and we'll get out our It's Your Birthday stamp. We're going to be embossing with the It's Your Birthday stamp. So we'll need black embossing powder. You'll need your embossing buddy. Don't go anywhere without your embossing buddy. And Versamark ink. So I've got that all here. I'll put that aside for the moment. The inks we're going to use are Pear Pizzaz, rich Razzleberry, and sweet Sugarplum. We'll be using our Dimensionals. You'll need a die cut machine. We're going to die cut this little window right here, and we're using the 2 smallest rectangles from this. It's Spellbinder's Nestabilities. This is a wonderful die set, and I'm not affiliated with them in any way, so if I say it's wonderful, you know that it's wonderful. So let's start stamping first, because that's my favorite part on this card. Wait till you see how cool this is. So I've got my piece of Whisper White out here, and I've got my little watercolor thing. This is supposed to be to fill in the dress on one of the fashion ladies in the Beautiful You stamp set. So I've got that on my block. Let me get out my rich Razzleberry, and a little towards, we're going to be doing this a little towards the top, and just a little towards the left hand top corner. And I'll be stamping in rich Razzleberry. It's going to be on a diagonal cross type pattern, 4 petals. And let me ink that up and you'll see. So this one is going to go up towards the top corner. And this looks very dark, but remember these dye inks dry lighter. That goes that way. And I'm keeping the little fatter end towards the center and the pointy end facing outward. And right there. And right there. I'm going to grab a baby wipe. Wipe that off. Next we're going to stamp in the sweet sugar plum. Isn't this the coolest thing? This just thrills me. I have to say. Okay, so we're going to be stamping 4 more of the flower petals. And when I stamped these, I kept them kind of towards the rich raspberry one, and to leave a little space so that we can stamp leaves with the Pear Pizzaz. So again, keep the fatter end in. Oh, no, you know what? On my card, I switched it around for this one. So let's keep it just like my original and have the pointy end towards the center. So we'll just stamp like that. And let's see, this one, the top one, I didn't have any leaves coming out, so we'll stamp that right in the center here. And we want to have some leaves coming out the side, so we'll leave a little space. And we want a leaf coming out right about here, so we'll stamp that also like that, so it has that little bit of space. You see? And you will see on this stamp that there are some areas that even though you've inked it up, it comes out lighter than others. The stamp is like, if you look carefully at the stamp, you'll see it's distressed in areas. And that's so that it purposely does that. So don't stamp and think, oh no, it's ruined, I didn't stamp it right. You did stamp it right. It's how the stamp is supposed to be. Okay, now on the leaves I switched back and I have the fat area of the stamp in towards the center. So we put a leaf here. And a leaf coming out down here. And we have one coming out here. And there's most of our flower. We just have our little bitty thing in the center to do. And like I said, you could draw that in. Let me grab a piece of paper. If you don't have the Avant-Garden stamp set, just get yourself a black Sharpie and just go like this in the center and put some dots on the ends, and you'll have your flower center. Let me bring that up so you can see what I did here. So, and it doesn't have to be, it's not going to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. That just makes it look all that more interesting if you do it that way. You can tell I'm excited about this because I'm talking a lot faster than I normally do. But I just love this stamp set. Oh, you know what? There's one more stamp that we use that I forgot to tell you about, and that's these little dots on that comes from the Avant-Garden also. So again, if you didn't have this, well, I'm sure you've got something in your collection that you can make dots with. If you don't have this to make dots, then get a marker out and make the dots with a marker if you really want the dots. But let me see, where did that get to? Yeah, I had it out already. There we go. Okay, so back to the center. And darn it, I forgot to tell you to get black Memento ink out. And I didn't have it out either, and here it is. Luckily, pretty much everything that I need, I can reach. I don't even have to stand up. So in the center, we're just going to stamp that, and we're just going to go around in a circle with the little dotty ends facing out. So it's going to be a fairly large center. And that will look like this. This is probably a little hard to see on the card because the inks are very dark still. It shows up more when it's dry, but this is what we're doing. I'll just do this real quick. It's quick and messy, but basically that's what we're doing, making our center. We wipe that off a little bit, put that aside. Okay, and now we'll do our dots. And this is cool how they designed this little dot set here, because they it's got little divots in all the areas, so you can really take this and stamp around stuff really easily. So that came in very handy on this. Okay, and I'm using the Sweet Sugarplum on that. And wait a minute, I'm getting off camera here. Okay, look, I can go right around. I can go right around that leaf. You see that? I think that's cool. I have a lot of things to be thrilled about on this card. I'm stamping off there a little bit. Oh, and I'm getting out of the... It's because I have a pile of ink pads here. Let me keep in the video, huh? And I'm just going around and using that little divot in the stamp to just stamp all around the flower. Okay, so now this part of it's done. I'm going to put that aside here and get out our little birthday, it's your birthday or whatever it says. Yeah, it's your birthday stamp, our Versamark ink. Oh, I see I've got ink on the table here. Let me wipe that up. Don't want to get that on any of the other parts of the card. Okay, and I need my piece of vellum. And I want to get the lid off of my embossing powder and get that in here. And my vellum's already wanting to curl up on me. So we'll ink this up. We want to stamp that as best we can. Oh, I almost forgot my Embossing Buddy. Oh my gosh. That would have been terrible. Let me get that powdered up good. Alright, I better ink that again with the Versamark. And we'll just stamp that right as close as we can to the center. And then just scoop up a little bit of the black embossing powder here. Tap that off. And I'll heat that with my heat gun. I see I have just a little dot there. I should put my glasses on. This is hard to see. Wait a minute. Let me grab my little paintbrush. I keep a little paintbrush handy, just for occasions such as this. Okay. Alright, now we can emboss it. And get my heat gun going. I'll let it Let it warm up for a few seconds here. And then come in and emboss or heat my embossing powder up. Alright, that didn't take long. That was very quick. Let me get this out of here. I get my Versamark out of here. And get my Embossing Buddy out of here. And now we'll cut the little frame for around our sentiment. And let me get my plate out here. I use a cuttle bug. So for cutting, you use the sandwich you use is a B plate, a C plate, and then your base plate. And I always cut on my B plate because B plates are much less expensive to replace than the C plate. Now we're going to put both of our rectangular dies on here, right off the bat. And you're going to center the smaller one inside the larger one. I'm going to tape them in place with some masking tape that I've de-stickified a bit by by dabbing it on my clothes. And now we can just make our sandwich. And this is going to go off camera because you don't need to see me run this through the cuttle bug, I don't think. And you can hear by the cracking noises it's cutting. That's perfectly normal, by the way. If you've never used a die cut machine, I think all of them at some time or another will make those cracking noises. Just don't worry, you're not breaking it. We'll get our masking tape off here, and we will reveal our beautiful, wonderful, perfect little window. Okay, so get rid of that scrap, get rid of the dies, get rid of the plates for my cuttle bug, and we can start putting this card together. Now, as usual, on the inside I haven't put anything. I'll probably print something up on my printer when it's time to give the card away. You know, depending on the person, maybe it'll be something funny, maybe it'll be something sentimental. It'll all depend. Okay, so now I want my sentiment centered in my little frame here. So I'm going to put some Tombow glue on the back. And this will help flatten our vellum out too. Gluing this to our little cardstock frame. And center that. And now that it's stuck down, now I'll trim off my excess vellum. Oh, that could be a little straighter. Let me fix that a little bit. There we go. One thing nice about working with the Tombow glue, you do have a few seconds of wiggle room. So I'll just trim off this extra vellum, because we don't want that poking out the sides. I decided to use a vellum window in this because then you can see, you'll be able to see through if there's any dots or anything underneath. I thought that would be kind of cool. Boy, it's taken me a long time to cut this out. You'd think I was fussy cutting a detailed flower or something, wouldn't you? There we go. Probably because I'm thinking about the dots. And you know what? There might be a little bit of ink left on my die, so I'm going to, or on my stamp, I'm just going to put that last little bit of ink there, so I'm sure there's going to be dots under it. that we can see. Okay, so now we need our piece of rich razzleberry, and that will mat this card. And there's just the tiniest bit peeking through here. Alright, now if you wanted to conserve on cardstock, you could cut out the center here and save this piece. I mean, that's a nice size piece there. I'm not going to do it. I probably ought to. Nah, I'm not going to do it. It'll just add time to the video. And I have a funny feeling it's already probably running a little long. So, now we put our flower down. And have our little bit of rich razzleberry poking out just around the sides. And we'll attach this to the card front. And either of these, if you wanted to pop them up with dimensionals, that would be nice. You could do that. I'm going to pop up my sentiment, and this piece gets centered on the front. I'm going to pop up my sentiment. So I thought that was probably enough popping on my card. So get my dimensionals out here. And I just need some edge pieces. There's only just that little 1/4 of an inch or so of that frame. So let's see, there's a little bitty one. I'll put that one there. Let's see, I got another little bitty one. Put that there. I want some in the corners. I don't want my corners falling down. I will need to snip those. Oops. Stuck that one to my thumb instead of the card. There we go. And one more in the corner here. Just these little bitty pieces. I'm glad I put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing with these little guys. And we're almost done. Okay, and then I'm going to put this down in the corner. I don't want my razzleberry border showing, so I'm making sure that it's within that. And there we go. The card is finished. I hope you like this as much as I did. I don't know why, but it just thrilled me to use that stamp for something so cool as this flower. This is the first time I've used that stamp, because I just like to swipe in the color on the dress. So it made me happy to be able to use the stamp. So anyway, if you liked my video, then be sure to hit the like button. That's down below. Whoop, over the side somewhere. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to shop with me, you can do that either through my Facebook page or my website. And as always, all the materials that I used will be listed down below. And y'all take care, stay safe, and happy stamping.